for 80 minutes of rugby league action at its best, I think. Cronin starts it. It's going down towards Guerin. First tackle of the preliminary final. Rogers, and this is Jarvis. Phelan and Edge making the tackle. Dummy half Dowling. Graham Wynn. His brother Peter out of the Parramatta side. And I guess that would have taken a load off Graham's mind. Walsh plays the ball back to Dowling to pass to Haddock, and Rogers has made a mistake. Mears has got it for Parramatta. Well, Rogers didn't really make the mistake. Let me hasten to check myself there. It was a low ball to give him. Here's Kenny, got around behind Taylor. Ellis with the ball. Number 4's got him, that's Beattie. Parramatta, 15 out. They started with 2 tries in the first 8 minutes a fortnight ago. Muggleton to play it. Dummy half Edge. Taylor, Phelan. Oh, that was a bone jarrer. Good tackle. Dowling was the tackler. Sterling. Here's Price on the runaround. Picked up by Graham Wynn. 10 metres out. Right in front of the uprights. They may chance the drop goal. No, Sterling's gone for the bomb. Getting underneath it is Johnson. And he's taken it and forced it. Good take by Brian Johnson. Very good take. He got plenty of cover. Bill Anderson, everybody else has had their pick. Which way are you going?
I'm going for St George, but it's of course very difficult to pick against Parramatta. They've won 3 premierships in a row, and I don't like to tip against them, but I just think that St George have got too much power and too much flair in the forwards.
Michael Beattie taking the drop out. It's a high one. Down for Taylor. Calls on Hunt to take it back. Rogers makes the tackle. Play, dead set centre ground, midway 22 halfway. Saints into the ground, Cronin's with it. They swarm in on Cronin. 3 big men, they still couldn't put him down though. Sterling, Kenny, bad ball, cut out pass, Mears. Inside, Hunt, oh, he ran into the shoulder of Graham Wynn. And that sickened Neil Hunt. Mears. Hunt limping back to position. He ran into the point of the shoulder of Wynn. Sterling, oh, that's a bad ball to give Price. He had too much pressure on him. It's the old saying, you should never give the ball to somebody who's not in as good a position as you are to promote it. This is Young. So Saints come back with it. Dowling as dummy half. Rogers kicks. And it's going down to the 22 line. Gross going to have to hurry. He's played at the ball. Here he comes. Gross. He's lining Guerin, by the way. He's gone on a good run of about 25 metres.
In the semi-final, St George were let down badly by their kicking game, and on that day it was Graham Wynn who Parramatta were able to pick off, and we can see from that first kick by St George when Rogers took it one off the ruck that they've varied that, and I think they've improved their kicking game by introducing Rogers into the side.
Clash in the 5/8 roll this afternoon between 2 great players, one in the twilight of his career, Rogers, and the other just reaching the peak of his, Kenny. Beautiful kick in general play, finds it. Only about 15 out from the St George line, but the Dragons will have the loose and the feed. But yes, that is a battle between Rogers and Kenny, and I was watching, as you're watching the replay of the kick on the NEC, I was watching Rogers making a tackle on Kenny, and he was gritting his teeth, and there was a lot of determination in there. The Saints come away with the scrum, and the half, Perry Haddock, is underneath them. Haddock was in doubt for the match. He plays it, Wynn passes. Rogers gets it, gives it to Johnston. Johnston tries to get inside the Parramatta defence, but he's brought down by Price and by Mears.
The first occasion that St George had the ball, they worked it as they are now right across the field, and they stretched it back to a big back line on the other side, and they did catch 2 Parramatta forwards napping out wide. I'm just wondering if that's the sort of game plan they're going to introduce. Spread the ball, or work the ball one way, then spread it back where they're going to catch some Parramatta forwards out of position.
Taylor gets around Steve Morris. Steve went down the ground very quickly, which is a good policy, but He probably went in a little bit too quickly on Taylor, and Taylor got around him. And here's Growth, taken by Jarvis and Rogers, and players right back in the centre of the ground on the halfway. Sterling, Kenny, and this is Cronin. Oh, he's put it down, Cronin, trying to get a ball to Ella. And the ball is with Walsh for St. George. This is Guerin, tackled by Ella, and play still is on the halfway. There's only really been the one scoring opportunity, and that was, here's trouble for Parramatta. Big trouble. Quick hands to Brian Johnston. Johnston gets a pass inside for Brian Johnson. It's broken down now, though, but they had the numbers, and they caught Stan Jurd out in the centres.
That's exactly what we were talking about, Ray, where the Parramatta forwards were filling in out wide. Steve Rogers was the one to recognise it, called the quick ball, and they spread it that way.
Well, Stan Jurd is just going to have to get himself back to the centre of the ground more quickly. He was trapped out there. And when you get blokes like Johnston and Beattie and Rogers running at you, you haven't got the ability to step with them. That kick will go over the dead ball line for mine. It does. It'll come back to the 22 for the place kick. Tap taken by Edge. Jurd makes about a 5-metre gain. Price not held. He tries to crawl along the Sydney Cricket Ground turf. Phelan. Bit of yardage made there by Parramatta with simple plays. And now it's with Sterling, Kenny, and this is Muggleton out wide, but a good tackle by Michael Beattie, one of the best defensive centres in the game. Mayers decoys and goes himself to the halfway. Strong young player. There's another confrontation of a youngster against one of the game's greats, Craig Young and Paul Mayers. The Parramatta bomb. Allowed to bounce, that's bad. Jurd's going to come up with it. No, he's not. Morris has got it for Saints. That could have gone either way, that piece of play, but it's a penalty to Parramatta. There's been a late tackle, and Peter Frelengos is indicating to me there may have been elbow in it. It was the bomb that Sterling put up, and Ian McCall, the touch judge, has made the report where we were ISO'd at the time. Oh, gee. Walsh is the offender. He's just copped a caution. I do think the point of the elbow and the forearm was more across the chest. Cronin's got this kick from right in front. .81% is his success rate. So no score with 8 minutes gone. And Cronin from right in front, 23 out. He likes it. So do the touch judges, and so does the Parramatta crowd. The Eels lead 2-0. Nothing like the start of their previous encounter, where by now we had 2 tries on the board, and from memory we were heading for our 3rd. Sterling's got the ball. Plenty of Parramatta traffic down there. The big fellow, Growth, just inside the 22. Taylor looking for a forward on the inside, but it looked to me like a play that backfired. Phelan plays it now. Here's Sterling working on the blind. Jurd goes for a run, but a crash tackle by Chris Walsh. Muggleton away from dummy half, gaining another 5. They're out to the 32.
Maybe worth noting, Ray, that St George have changed their defensive pattern to the one they used in the semi-final against Parramatta. They used a left and right pattern, which meant that on occasions Perry Haddock was filling in out wide, marking Mike Cronin, and that cost them 1 try when Cronin stood in a Haddock tackle, offloaded to Ella, and he passed to offloaded to Kenny. Kenny passed to Ella for a try.
The Price getting up slowly. He found touch with his kick. He wasn't looking to find touch, let me tell you. He was sending a big fellow called Mayers on a run, and gee, the big fellow moved quickly. Brian Johnson and Paul Mayers then had the battle to see who was going to put it over the touchline, and of course Johnson didn't want to touch it. Saints with the scrum win, and out wide is Jarvis. Bootlace tackle by Price. This is John Dowling. Now it's Rogers, sets his sights, kicks, and he'll find touch deep inside Parramatta's territory. He had Hunt standing up close when, of course, Hunt Hunt wouldn't be thinking about St George kicking on the second. Maybe 4 or 5, but not 2. There's another example of the unorthodox paying off. Parramatta gets the scrum feed and the loose. And Sterling and Edge have got that scrum one, and here's Kenny trying to step. Oh, gee, there's a late tackle there. Graham Wynn went in late on Brett Kenny. There's absolutely no doubt about this one. Kenny was tackled by 2 St George players, Rogers and O'Grady, and Wynn has gone in late to make the tackle. There they are, the St George players. It's all parcelled up, and then Wynn comes in over the top late.
And that's completely nullified the great kick by Steve Rogers. It gained them 40 or 50 metres, and now, of course, St George are now back defending where Rogers kicked the ball from a few moments ago.
Just looking at Brett Kenny adjusting the shoulder pads that he hates wearing. But he felt that hit from Wynn, let me tell you. Another very fancy play by Parramatta, but I don't think that's the part of the ground to put it on. But who am I to criticise a 3-times champion? But gee, what do you think, Bill, putting fancy stuff on like that down on your own 32 line?
Yes, particularly at this stage of the game. Since in the early stages, St George defence is still enthusiastic, and really what's most likely to happen is give a fumble and give St George back possession.
Mayers is tackled. Saints have got a player down. Who is it? Guerin. Guerin's down injured. Here's Jerd out wide. Long cutout ball to Ella. Comes to Johnston, gets around him. O'Grady comes across in cover. And Parramatta prepared to give the ball plenty of air. And a couple of times they found big... Oh, here's Gross. Gross already has left a stamp on this game. He's getting very much involved. Now Sterling. He puts up what I call the midfield bomb. They're looking to get possession back off it. Johnson didn't get to it. And it's a Parramatta penalty. Yes, well, he's ruled Perry Haddock was in front of Brian Johnson, but Johnson's hurt. No, he's all right, Brian. Thought he was hurt. He's okay. But here's what the referee ruled. He's ruled that Johnson, it came off him. That's what he's saying to Haddock, who's definitely in front of Johnson. Of course, the question I've got to ask is, did it come off Johnson, or did it come off one of those Parramatta arms that went for the ball in the air? But Cronin again has got a kick at goal from right in front on the 22 line. Have a look at it, head on it. You don't get them any easier than this one. Cronin, just a short approach, and he's got it again. So Parramatta inching to a lead of 4 points to 0 in this final for the right to go on and meet Canterbury in the Grand next Sunday. And St George come away with this scrum. Haddock tackled by Sterling. Young to Rogers. Rogers to O'Grady. Graham gallops towards the halfway. Tackled by Brett Kenny. Rogers. Johnston. The defence has really only been cracked twice. Once by St George, once by Parramatta. Now it's Haddock. And up goes a midfield bomb. Sterling can't get it. Wynn's got it. Wynn's going inside the 22. 5 tackles gone for the Saints. Morris indicates the bomb. Turns it blindside for Beattie. It's gone to Guerin. Inside for Johnson. Oh, try-saving tackle by Sterling. Try-saving tackle by Peter Sterling. I'll tell you what I would like to see, that head-on shot of Steve Guerin, if we've got some of it on the disc. Gee, he must have been close to the touchline. We're looking at the replay. There he is. No, he was certainly in the field of play, so it was a try-saving tackle by Sterling. Here's Growth now. Growth, he's gone through them, but he's tackled around the bootlaces by Graham O'Grady, and O'Grady had to make that tackle. Here's a penalty against the Saints for being inside the 5 out wide. So Parramatta will take the kick for touch. Sterling will take it. Parramatta won thirds, 26-10. Saints won reserves, 10-4. Very, very gallant performance by the Illawarra Steelers. So the tap is to be taken by the Eels captain Edge. He dummies to Jerd, gives it to Sterling, then to Kenny, on to Cronin, back to Kenny. Kenny to Ella, and Ella bumps off Johnston. Gee, I didn't think Steve Ella had the power to do what he just did. He beat a man with a hip, and the man I'm talking about, Brian Johnson, is much bigger than him. This is Cronin. Parramatta are starting to make this ball sing. It's really covering a lot of ground. They're making it do the work, the ball, and they're running the big St George forwards all over the park. Mears, look at this big fella, into a hole. Taylor looks for it. Mears says no, I won't squeeze this one out. He'll play it to Price. A slow play the ball. St George have regrouped. Little kick by Sterling, taken by O'Grady. Now is Young. Now this is Jarvis. Now it's Chris Walsh, who was stung and wounded in an earlier tackle. Chris Walsh. If you think he's been a bit quiet, you're dead right. He was injured in an earlier tackle. Across to Craig Young, drops it onto the left foot, looking for touch, and well, Neil Hunt. He didn't seem as though he knew where the hell it was, Hunty.
Steve Morris was very quick to chase that kick by Craig Young, and Morris himself is a very good kick and chase man, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him come in near the rucks and use that play.
Sterling feeds, Edge wins it. Hunt comes in from the blind wing, and he's tackled, but I just think, Neil, he handled that kick by Young very badly. This is Phelan. Phelan, he got away from Graham Wynn, has got no feeling in that right arm. I doubt it anyway. He got up with his arm sort of in a temporary sling. He might be all right, but he missed that tackle badly on Phelan. Played by Price. Taylor gives it to Cronin. Calls players inside him and outside. Kenny taken by Jarvis. But Jarvis can't keep doing all the work for St George. He's got a couple of forward partners who aren't doing their job, in my opinion, and mainly because they've taken a couple of stinging tackles early in the game. Ball played by Muggleton. 4-0 the scoreline. Sterling gets his kick in. Johnson's going across hard. He's going to run towards Slippery Morris. He's away from Cronin. He's away from Hunt. It's a long, long run. Now it's gone to Morris. Morris is tackled by Hunt and Mears. Just inside Parramatta's territory. Ball played back. Across to Rogers, now to Johnston. This is O'Grady, now to Jarvis, over the halfway. Taken by Kenny, and over the top by Price. St George turning it around now. This is Graham Wynn, running wide and loves running wide. This is Michael Beattie, and that's three tackles gone. Out to Haddock, on to Rogers. Rogers passes a long ball to Johnson. It was low. He grubber kicks ahead. It's a race between Ella and Johnson. It's Ella with the ball. Not held. Off he goes. He finds Peter Sterling. Oh, Sterling saying, where are you, Hunt? And Neil Hunt was on his inside. This is Ella with the ball. Tackled by Rogers. But that's when the Eels are at their most dangerous. If they get a turnover of possession, they're likely to start throwing the ball about inside their own in-goal area. Ball to be played by Phelan. On the halfway line, he'll play it back to Paul Taylor. Across it comes to Sterling, and now with Cronin. Cronin takes the ball to ground with him. Beattie came over the top. Dowling was down below. Played back to Muggleton. Here's Sterling calling the shots around a forward Walsh. Draws one, gets it to Jerd. Jerd is tackled 32 metres out from the St George line. And the Parramatta side are starting to do some good things.
Yeah, things are starting to hot up, and this is when you need to keep your concentration in defence. The try's looking imminent in the next few minutes.
Here's quick hands by the Eels, and Price has put it down. There was a try on there. They had 4 on 3, and Price put it down. But Parramatta are peppering the ball about. They're ad-libbing the game. And St George are just at the moment having trouble controlling them. Dowling comes off. Scrum packs. St George feed. Won by Gaida. Haddock goes to the blind, but Sterling's got him with Jerd. Taylor, I should say. I just saw a couple of blonde-headed fellows go down. I thought, well, one of them might be Stan, but he couldn't have broken from the scrum that quickly. And his hair's not that long either. Young plays it. Jeez, I'm giving him some raps. Played by Craig. It's come across for Rogers to give a short ball to Jarvis, and Price makes him take it to ground with a copybook tackle. It's gone across wide now to Graham Wynn. He's beaten Jerd, who again gets himself trapped out wide. Morris is looking to come in field, but Hunter's got him.
There's no doubt that's the ploy St George are working for. They take the ball to one side of the field. Rogers has a quick look. When he finds one of the Parramatta forwards filling in out wide, then he calls the ball and stretches it very quickly.
Well, there's Graham Wynn on camera, and he just did something that you know, Graham Wynn just has to do. He's at one time he's an absolutely outstanding player, and then he becomes that that player who can do a bit of the old Teddy Goodwin. Enigma, I think, is the word I'm looking for to describe Graham Wynn. What he did that for, I'll never know. Here's Cronin standing, finding Kenny. Kenny floats it wide for Growth. He'll have to go inside. They've got him Corden. Ella's there with him. Rogers has got Ella. 28 metres out from the St George line. Played back to Price. Off to Steve Edge. Now through Sterling to Taylor. They've come up quick, so they've cut them out with the ball. Mears has got it, looking to pop it. Does. Phelan's there to receive it. And Phelan has tackled 32 metres out from the St George line. 8 3/4 minutes to go. There's a Parramatta player down. It's Paul Mears, and they've reached the 22 line now. And Edge comes away from dummy half. Sterling gives a short ball. Finds Jurd. Jurd's tackled. St George, gee, they've had to do plenty of work in this first half, the Dragons. Plenty of defensive work. And to their credit, they still haven't let Parramatta in. It's Cronin. And now here's Growth. Growth to the 20. Oh, gee, that ball, I think, was forward to Kenny anyway. But the number of times they've looked as though they were certain to score and haven't, it must now be up around the 6 or 7 mark. Here's Growth getting down close to the ground, and there's the ball. No doubt in the world it was a forward pass. Well, Mears is staggering back into position, and the man is being cautioned at the moment. There'll be a penalty here. They're going to give a penalty. It's a late tackle, I would say, on Craig Young. The incident involved Paul Mears. You might recall Parramatta were throwing it about. Mears had the ball out wide. He got a pass off to Phelan, and he was decked late in play. And Young has been taken back to the spot. Let's see it again, quickly. Here's Mears. Just got one eye on the play, one eye on what you're seeing. And there's Young going in now, plays about 15 out, and that was the penalty reason. Let's come back to the play live now. Parramatta's attacking, 10 out, Jurd's gone to ground with it. Jurd tackled, 10 metres out from the St George line, to the blind for Sterling, turns it inside for Price. Price anxious to get the ball away. He realises there's a chance on, played by Price. They hit the blind again. Sterling jinx, gives it back to Taylor. Taylor gives it to Hunt. Hunt gives it on to Phelan. Phelan tackled by Steve Rogers. He's made some tremendous tackles, Rogers, ball and all stuff. And it's gone out now to Taylor. Taylor to Kenny. Kenny puts the grubber kick in behind Guerin. Guerin's put it over the dead ball line. So it'll be a line drop out to restart it again. Parramatta leading by 4-0. No tries in the match.
St George have been under tremendous pressure for the last 15 minutes of the game, and I'm sure that Roy Masters would be thankful when the half-time whistle goes, because if St George can hang on, Parramatta have done so much and haven't got a try on the board. St George just might be able to get into this after half-time.
And how often does that happen? This is Sterling back on his halfway. That was a very good drop kick by Beattie. Sterling throws the dummy, tries to split them. He's tackled 15 metres into St George's area. Not much breeze to speak of. It's coming across the ground from the showground side into the face of the Brawongle, but it's only a zephyr. And it's being played now by Parramatta. 35 metres out, and here's a decoy run going amiss. Taylor's come up with it. Muggleton's got the ball, passes, finds Sterling. Sterling finds Kenny. Kenny is going to take the tackle, and he goes to ground about 30 metres out from the St George line. Play in front of the Brawongle corner, out through Sterling. It's gone to Growth. Growth linking up again with the backs, and he's tackled with no gain in ground. And there's 5 gone for Parramatta. And we're looking now for Sterling. And here he is, and they decide to run it. Muggleton's looking for the hole, but that's the turnover, is it not? No, I'm sorry. He had his hand up indicating 4, and I thought he was indicating the last tackle. There it is now, the bomb from Sterling. No runners, and Johnson, he might get out of here. No, Edge has gone through, another line dropout. Muggleton has gone to ground injured for Parramatta.
John Money, the Parramatta coach, would be concerned with the fact that his side's had so much ball. They've had all of the territorial advantage, but they just can't put the ball over the line.
Here's Hunt. And he'll play the ball midway between the 22 and the halfway on St George's end of the paddock. It's with Price. He dummies and tries to go himself, but the St George defence is equal to the task. Price plays it, Phelan with it. Now it's with Sterling. Here's Mears. He apparently is all right again. Haddock takes him. and Mares passes from the ground. Referee Roberts gives the penalty to St George.
Well, the weight of possession in both scrums and penalties has gone fairly heavily against St George, and now they've got an opportunity just before half-time as we go into that danger period to do something with the ball. But you'll very often find that if you've done so much work in defence that when you do get the ball back, you've lost a lot of your attacking flair through tiredness.
Barry Haddock getting some attention, and Mike Beattie finds the line just into Parramatta's area. Tap taken by Chris Guider, through O'Grady to Rogers, now to Johnston, and Jarvis has put it down. Away goes Price. There's trouble for the Saints. Here's Ella. Johnston's got him, and Ella's tackled inside or just outside the 22 line. Well, that was costly for the Saints, putting it down on the first tackle. That's certainly not in the manual. And the ball is to be played by Phelan. They've ripped his shoulder pads off him. As he plays it, it goes through to Sterling. Now to Kenny, and Kenny puts the head down and tries to open up a hole between O'Grady and Rogers, but both those players have been very sound in defence. Cronin to Mares. Mares is not going to pass this time. Mares to play it just inside the 22. Muggleton makes another 5 or 6 metres. In fact, he's made more than that. 5 tackles gone as he's put down again by Walsh. I don't think Chris Walsh is 100%. The kick by Sterling is right across the ground. They're all onside, and it's with Brian Johnson. He did magnificently to take that ball, Brian Johnson. He had everything against him. He had everything against him. The uprights, the Parramatta players, and he still came out of it with flying colours. But it's another line drop out for St George. I've never seen a final with so much pressure on one side for so long.
And it's as I said, Ray, when St George do get the ball back, they're far more likely to make a handling error or be unable to do anything with it because of the tiredness that's setting in through their necessity to do defence.
Here's Hunt. You watch him very closely, Hunt, right through his career, and you'll see him doing the same stuff, running across the ground and then that gigantic sidestep. Price, Jerd, Stan Jerd, he's away from one, he's found Mares, it's Mares on Morris, and Mares has tackled. Gee, look at that tackle from Morris. Wasn't it a Bobby Dazzler, the little man, one of the midgets. Here's Ella. Ella's tackled just outside the 22 line. It's played back to Phelan. Phelan to the 22, and Guider's got him with Jarvis. Jarvis is screaming at Guider. I'm not sure what he's saying. He may have been saying, let's hold him down here for a while we regroup. It's with Hunt now. Hunt holds the ball back. What's Stan doing out there? Jerd's out on the wing. He'll play it 15 metres out. And they'll put the bomb up again, the Eels. Numbing half his edge. It's with Sterling. He puts the grubber through. It came off a St George player. Picked up by Craig Young. And this will see us go to the half-time break if St George can hold it for their set of 6 tackles. From Guider to Haddock to Graham Wynn, and Wynn is tackled by Ella and Phelan, and there's just under 30 seconds of the first half to go. Beattie now, tackled by Kenny. Played back to Jarvis, spun inside for Johnston. Johnston making some good ground. 4 tackles gone as it goes across the ground. It's with Rogers. Now it's out to O'Grady. Now it's with Johnson, and Johnson is tackled as the last seconds of this first half are going by as O'Grady puts the kick in, but referee Roberts acknowledges the siren, and the first half is over. No tries, just 2 goals to Mick Cronin, and I guess if you play the game in your opponent's territory, penalties are bound to come and points normally result, and that's exactly what happened. Parramatta 4, St George no score, 1 replacement, Dowling off, Guider on. And we'll take a break, and we'll be back with you for the second half in just a moment. No changes to either side as we welcome you back for the second half of the NEC Big Game. Just repeating, if you just joined us, no tries, just 2 penalty goals to Parramatta, with the Eels enjoying a major share of possession and territory and unable to put the football over the try line. Now you can look at that 2 ways. St George would derive, I would think, some confidence out of that by knowing that Parramatta had hit them with every torpedo they had on board. The other thing is, of course, it may have tired the Dragons in keeping them out for so long. Scrums and penalties at half-time for you people who like to keep in touch with the stats. 7-5 the scrums to the Eels, and 6-3 the penalties to the Eels. So everything was running along smoothly for them. Ball finding touch. Incidentally, in that scrum win statistic, Steve Edge won 2 against the head. But now Chris Guider is hooking against him, having replaced John Dowling about 2/3 of the way through the first half. Here's the ball stretched out to the fullback Johnson. It's with the centre Johnston. He got around Ella pretty quickly. Taylor's across, makes the tackle, 32 out from the St George line. Now they'll push it back. Morris.
You might remember in last week's game against South Sydney, this was the period of time just after the half-time siren when St George really cut loose, and Roy Masters will be looking for that again today.
So St George can hit the blind now if they want to, but it's with Rogers, Young, Walsh. He's on the halfway. Muggleton making the tackle. Roy Masters in the grandstand, playing every play with both teams. Win. Lovely ball. Brian Johnston cut down by Taylor. On the halfway line. 5 tackles are gone for the Dragons. The kick. Oh, gee, it's a great kick from Graham Wynn. Well, that really slots into what I was talking about during the first half. Graham can do some magnificent things and he can do some terrible things. And this was one of the good things. He's found touch just 15 metres out from the Parramatta line. And Sterling's got the feed. Roberts wants the scrum up. He wants it back on the mark. Fed by Sterling, won by Edge. It's out to Taylor. And Taylor's tackled by Rogers and O'Grady. How many times have you heard me mention their names in defence, making joint tackles? Penalty goes to the Eels. It's against the Dragons for being inside the 5.
And once again, St George take all the pressure off that they had mounted by giving away a senseless penalties. Kevin Roberts gave the players an opportunity, pointed to the 5 metres, told them to get back, but they didn't move. Consequently, he had to penalise them. Sterling's kick finds it, 5 metres on his own side of the halfway line. The winner of this goes into the grand final next week to play Canterbury, and what a great match that'll be, no matter what the result is of this game. Play right on the halfway. Sterling, Mayers hitting it up just off the fringe of the ruck, and then a pass which was a stupid pass to throw. He had his back to the defence. He didn't know who was coming or what was coming, and it was dead set, a prime opportunity for the intercept. Cronin will play it near the halfway line. The Eels have been probing, they've been hitting, they've been doing everything, trying to bust St George. They've bombed, they've used the grubber kick, they've passed the ball, they've done everything, but they still haven't been able to make that try that they've been looking for. Here's Taylor. Now Sterling. Sterling's looking to Hunt, and Hunt goes back in field. Turns it outfield. Picked up by Morris for St George. And there you see the greatness of Steve Rogers. He read the play particularly well, came across and made an excellent copybook cover defensive tackle.
Guider gets it to O'Grady. He passes to Morris. Gives a little ball to Haddock. Haddock's run out of friends. He's run out of room. Now Morris.
Morris is in near the rucks looking for work, and as I mentioned in the first half, he's got that kick and chase game down to a fine art, and I expect him to use it in this second half.
Guider turns it back blind for Graham Wynn. Tackled by Taylor. From Morris, it's gone to Haddock. He turns it back inside for Walsh. And Graham Wynn has been injured. He got a smack in the head, apparently, in that tackle. Here's the charge down attempt by Jerd. He went in on Rogers, but he didn't see. Oh, this is a trouble. Here's trouble. Morris has scored for St George. Morris scores for St George, and I'm looking down the ground and watching Steve Rogers just standing there applauding. Morris has scored. Slippery Morris, the 85 or 84 winger of the year, has planted it down behind the uprights. Rogers, he got away from the charge down or the tackle attempt by Jerd and then watched Paul Taylor. That's one ball Paul Taylor probably should have let go. Morris was there like a hawk on its prey. And St George are in front, you'll find, after Gearon takes the conversion attempt.
It was a nothing situation. Rogers tried to get a kick in to put pressure on Parramatta. Steve Morris was 10 to 15 metres offside, but once Paul Taylor touched the ball, it was play on, and that's exactly what happened. Morris summed up the situation very quickly, picked up the ball. He had to beat one tackle. He was able to beat that tackle by Brett Kenny, who reached but couldn't put him onto the ground, and over goes Morris. He plants the ball down under the post for the four-pointer, and the try has been converted by Gearon, so now it's 6 points to 4 in favour of St George.
And look at the elation on the face of Steve Morris as he scores the try. Cronin's kick down to Gearon. This is Haddock. Guida. Young. Beattie. They're just outside the 32 line. St George. Jarvis. Wynn. That kick is out on... No, he's found touch again. Well, Taylor, I guess he would have had a tremendous decision to make here. He went for the previous kick, missed it, and St George scored off his mistake, and there he was wondering whether this is going to go into touch or what, and he's decided to let it go into touch and come back with the feed. Penalty to Parramatta. He's got Graham O'Grady for breaking from the scrum prior to the ball coming out. You can't have more than the 7 backs, and O'Grady, by not being in the scrum, is deemed to be a back. The only time he can break is when the ball has actually cleared the scrum. Mares hitting it up. I'm just trying to commit myself to the last 3 years for Parramatta. Have they ever been in this situation of being behind in a final that they might have played in? Here's Phelan. 6-4 to St George. Sterling. That could find touch. Johnson. Oh, Johnson has nearly made a meal of it. Comes to Taylor. Passes to Gearon. Gearon's outside the 32 line. Passes and finds Beattie. Beattie finds Rogers. Rogers gets it away to Johnson. Morris has gone inside. The ball is on the ground and has gone into touch. But a great run by St George. Tremendous football. It all started back in the Paddington Hill corner. And this man, Brian Johnston, gave the last ball.
The game's turned around completely. In the first half, it was all Parramatta. In this second half, St George have been able to get a good supply of possession, and they've done plenty with it, and they're playing with a lot of confidence at this stage.
Parramatta winning the scrum. It's Kenny, 15 out from his own line. Cronin. Second tackle. Ray Price out to the 22 line. Third tackle. Neil Hunt. 32 line. Fourth tackle. Edge. Taylor. Sterling. Cronin. Mares. Kenny. Kenny's going to the halfway line. He's still going, and Taylor comes up in support. Couldn't pop the pass. 5 gone. They'll probably run the ball here. Sterling holds it back, gets into a hole, finds Cronin, lofts the ball out to Muggleton. Growth's got to go inside. Muggleton kicks inside. Young's back there. The ball has bounced. There's it came off Young's fingertips. That was as close as a boarding house scrape of butter. Came off Young's fingertips. But oh dear.
Well, the St George players assumed the ball was going dead, but you can't assume anything with Eric Growth, the man on chase. And in a one-on-one chase, Craig Young and Eric Growth, I know who I'd back.
Gee, this was panic stations. If you're a St George supporter and you drink brandy, I reckon you've gone for a double. Price to dummy half. Win on the ground behind the play the ball. Price to Kenny. Kenny to Sterling. Sterling away to Cronin. Cronin now to Growth. Growth away from Beattie. Back to Cronin. They're on the halfway. They're passing and doing plenty of work with it, but they're not going anywhere. Cronin driven into the ground by Steve Morris. He's a strong little fellow. Dummy half is Hunt, and Hunt tries to go for a hole between Young and Jarvis. There was one there, but it soon closed. The big men shut it. Taylor passes, Sterling runs, now Jerd. And Jerd is away. Good run by Jerd, good strong performance. 4 tackles gone. Roberts has got a habit of, when he comes to 4 tackles, he puts the 4 fingers out and then he lifts his hand up a little bit. And gee, I'll tell you what, it can be off-putting if you're trying to count tackles. St George coming up with it. The point I'm making is that sometimes it looks like he's indicating the 5th tackle. Jarvis now plays it. This is Haddock. Now Rogers. Rogers to Johnston, and he's tackled 10 metres short of the halfway line. Haddock, a long ball out to Young, now to Johnson. They've got the numbers if they push the ball. That's Graham Wynn out there, taking it to ground. 20 minutes of the final to go. 20 minutes for St George to hang on. 20 minutes for Parramatta to pull it out of the fire. And there's a knock-on against the Saints. Ray Price appeals to Roberts, claiming he was held out of the game. Sterling's feed again. They've had a lot of scrum feeds, Parramatta. This is Kenny. Snuffed out of it by Haddock. Now Price and Growth. And Growth has been probing in there, looking for an opening. It hasn't come yet. Edge to Sterling, now to Cronin. Cronin shows it, goes himself, pushes it back the other way to Muggleton and Jerd. Jerd held by Guider and back slammed by Wynn. 12 metres into St George's area. 3 tackles gone. Here's Big Mares getting a pass to Taylor. Taylor comes to the fullback. He found Muggleton on the inside and Muggleton put it down. That was close the door. If Muggleton holds that pass, they would have been in because the last line had been totally broken. So the scrum is down in the Paddington Hill corner with Perry Haddock to feed it. Same tunnel. I don't think there's been a penalty for an incorrect feed or feed across in this match at all. Scrum won by the Saints. Roberts is, like last week with the refs then, they basically let the team feeding the ball into the scrum to get away with it, win it. At least it gets the scrums out of the road quickly. Johnston feeling the tackler just outside the St George 22 line. This match is still wide open. It's there to be taken. St George by 2 at the moment. Jarvis, the Eels have got to pull out something out of the ordinary to snatch this one out of the fire. O'Grady, Gearon kicks ahead. Sterling's going across to cover, and he's knocked on Sterling. Well, he had to do something because Gearon was going very strongly for the line with the ball on the foot. Player down injured. It'll be Graham Wynn, I think. Saints win the scrum and Haddock is tackled. Rogers, Beattie, Guida, Morris, Beattie. 16.25 minutes to go. Morris goes from dummy half. O'Grady. The pass goes to Guerin. Guerin comes inside. He finds Morris. He passes. Young gives it on to Rogers. Rogers is tackled on the 22 line by Ray Price. Kenny is clutching at that shoulder and he's screaming to the bench, Kenny. I think Kenny is saying, get me out of here. 5 tackles gone for the Saints. Parramatta's at 6s and 7s. They go for the drop goal. Muggleton's come up with it. That was a charge down that worked better than they expected. Kenny's now playing on the left wing. He's a total passenger, Kenny. Wynn is just on his feet now for St George. The trainer with him. But Kenny's gone. He's got nothing in that right shoulder. Here's Hunt across the ground. And Hunt tackled by O'Grady. I still don't know that the Parramatta bench realises that Kenny needs help out there. This is Mears. Now it's Growth. Growth's gone straight through. The big man, he's got the fullback to beat. He puts on a spurt of speed. And Johnson has taken St George maybe into the grand final with a great tackle. That's the turnover.
It was a brave move by Brian Johnson. He allowed Eric Growth to have a little bit of sideline to work in and gave Growth no option. He had to hit hard down the sideline and Johnson came across and picked him up in a cover defending tackle. A man of less pace wouldn't have been able to pick Growth off.
So it's Rogers tackled 8 metres inside the St George 22. Kenny is playing out on the left wing as much as he can. That was him in the tackle.
St George have lost concentration in the last few minutes. They threw 3 or 4 shoddy passes, then trying to get the ball along their back line. And I'm sure what their coach would be looking for would be much safer type football. Just working it from dummy half and one up off the ruck.
Morris is injured. And here comes Robert Stone out for St George, I see. Graham Wynn is off. Morris to play it now on his own quarter. Guida gives it to Craig Young. Price will be penalised here for feet first. He got sent to the sin bin, I think, or sent off, was it, in the match at the sports ground last year for the same thing. The tackle was made feet first, and that's illegal. See that? The legs went in to make the tackle before the arms actually got involved. Turn it round the other way and it's as sweet as a pie. Beattie takes the line finder, finds it 10 metres his side of the halfway. I'm following the path of Brett Kenny. I saw him screaming to the bench or screaming to the sidelines. I was sure he wanted to come off, and as the match wears on, he's now playing it outside centre. Chris Walsh put down by Steve Ella. Rogers passes and finds O'Grady.
St George have had all the ball in this second half and the Parramatta ground's looking pretty shaky.
Guerin cutting back infield. Ella comes from behind and cleans him up. So Ella's made a couple of tackles in a row and he's covered plenty of territory to make them. Rogers goes for the drop goal and I think he's got it. He has. The crowd go wild with the red and white now. St George extend their lead to 3 points. 7-4. Stone is on for Wynn. The Eels have got everything to do now. 12 minutes to go. Johnson, the fullback, is tackled inside his own 22. Guida passes and finds Stone. Mears makes the tackle. Perry Haddock, Young, Morris. Passes and finds Jarvis. Jarvis to Haddock. All he had to do was pass, and he had Brian Johnston running unmarked on his inside. Rogers, Stone, the Saints really throwing it about now. They could have 3 grades in the grand finals next Sunday. Beattie, tackle by Sterling. 5 tackles gone for the Dragons. The bomb is coming. Brian Johnston puts it up. It's high. Taylor's under pressure. Oh dear, that was a great take by Taylor. He threw caution to the wind. No thought of self-preservation. Took it beautifully. Here's Mayers getting into a gap that closed very quickly. Ella now from dummy half. Parramatta have used everything they've got. They haven't been able to crack the Saints. And don't ever let anybody tell you they didn't have the opportunities. They've had hundreds of them, virtually. Sterling, Muggleton, just outside the 22. 10.5 minutes of time to go, and I see Steve Sharp coming on for Parramatta. It surprises me, Sharp coming on. He's basically a defence man.
Yes, he's not the sort of player you'd normally send on in these situations. He'd be looking more for David Lydiard.
Brian Johnson, cut down by Price. Away goes Morris from dummy half. Across the ground, tackled there by Neil Hunt. Now it's with Jarvis. Gives it to Guida. Guida to Gearin. Gearin taken by Muggleton. The word is from the sidelines that Stan Jurd's going to come off. This is Brian Johnston. And Kenny, again, out very wide, was there with Mayers to make the tackle.
And that's where all the danger's being done, about 10 metres in from the sideline.
O'Grady, flick passes, finds Haddock. Haddock kicks, and Taylor's not hurrying. It's found touch. Great kick by Haddock. I see Mansfield is coming out for Parramatta. Sharp is on. Mansfield goes on also in 17. Muggleton comes off. So they've got 2 new second rowers in Mansfield and Sharp. Phelan has been pushed up to the front row. And here's a penalty to Parramatta. He's got Stone for trying to angle the scrum. 8 3/4 minutes to go. St. George by 7 points to 4. Sterling finding the line. Edge, Sterling, and here's Hunt. But as much as they probe for that opening, it's not there. St. George have defended stoutly. They looked like they might have been shot birds in the first half, but they went to the break, they came back, and I guess Master said to them, well, they've had their picnic and they couldn't fire off a shot. So just go out there and win the game. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Here's David Lydiard sprinting out. Number 20's out there for St. George. Billy Noakes there for St. George, and there's Lydiard in 15 for Parramatta. He sprinted to the sidelines. Well, Lydiard's the sort of player that you would have thought that Mooney would have used. It's gone to Taylor, and Taylor kicks to the open space. I doubt that would find touch. It won't. Gearin's got it. Johnson supports him, but Mayers, my goodness, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a front row forward ever in the history of rugby league cover as much territory as this bloke, as fast, and make so many tackles. Hunt is off for Parramatta, and Lydiard has gone on. But this is desperation time now for both sides. The Saints with a 3-point lead. They have to hang on. Parramatta, they have to try and snatch this one out of the fire as Rogers with a well-judged kick finds touch, turns Parramatta around and keeps the game in the part of the field where he knows that Parramatta can't win from. Walsh is off for St. George. Noak is on. Sterling feeds, Parramatta wins. Ella, and this is Lydiard. Lydiard taken by Rogers. Lydiard was probably sent out there by Money and told, you get out there and just get involved as much as you want to, my boy. This is Sharp. Now Kenny. He's outside the 22. He's away from Note. Gearan chases. He turns the ball. Lydiard's put it down. St. George have come up with it. Here's the Brett Kenny pass that went to David Lydiard. Lydiard couldn't take it. Beatty it was who fell on the ball. And then I think there's a Parramatta player comes in late here as they dissolve from the disc, but you can bet your bottom dollar that's what happened. The Parramatta player went in to secure the tackle on this fellow Beatty. Here it is, Mansfield. So the Saints are on the halfway line. 6 1/4 minutes to go. Looking very much as though it's going to be a Saints Bulldogs grand final. It'll be a tremendous match, but this one is still not over. You never know what can happen in this final 6 minutes.
Particularly against Parramatta, they're a team you can never feel comfortable against simply because they've got so many great players who can turn a game.
Beatty gets it to Johnson. Johnson tackled on the 5th inside the 22 line. The crowd standing now as Guida sets his sights for the line, finds Note, turns it to O'Grady. He passes and hopes. Gearan has to go back to clean it up. He's run away from edge. He kicks ahead. Will he get there? No, it's over the dead ball line. It'll go back out to the 22 for the place kick restart. And Roberts is sprinting out to the 22 to get this game underway again. Taken by Ray Price. And he's outside the 32. He's looking for a runner. Again, Lydiard was there, but he was there too late. Just those little opportunities that are there to be taken. Ella tries to pass and find a runner, but Noga's got it for St. George.
And that's an example of the dilemma Parramatta have. They've got to play safe football to not give St. George possession, but they've also got to push the pass and come up with a try.
Parramatta's got the ball back. Taylor comes into his back line. Mears looks to pass. He can't. He'll play it near the halfway line. Mears plays it. Ella passes. Well, what was Sterling doing? He just let the ball hit him on the shoulder. I don't think he realised that it was coming. Ball to be played now by Chris Phelan for Parramatta. Here's Mansfield. Mansfield is tackled. About 8 metres on his side of the halfway. Under 4.5 minutes to go. And Parramatta gets a penalty against Young for stealing the ball. I'm just wondering if Parramatta have got one special up their sleeves that they've kept for an occasion like this. Now the tap will be taken by the Eels just outside the Saints 22.
Well, if they have got a special, Ray, I think the man that'll be able to instigate it all is Brett Kenny.
Here's Growth, hitting it to the middle for one. Sterling takes it across the ground, dummies to Mears. Jinks tries to get inside them. He's tackled on 2. Centre ground, inside the 22. Taylor. This will all finish, of course, this passage of 6 with the bomb. Price! Taylor! Taylor's tackle 8 metres out from the Saints line. 3 tackles gone. Taylor's lost the ball. They've got a penalty to Eels. You can almost put that down as a professional foul by St. George.
Craig Young threw the ball away after that had happened. He might be very lucky not to have found himself in the sin bin.
So the clock shows 3 1/4 to go. Sterling takes the tap and he's short by an inch. Price will have a go himself, I think. Now he passes wide to Brett Kenny. Kenny dummies. Can he pass? He does. He finds Grove. Grove goes for the corner. It's a try. Parramatta's got out of jail. The Eels are out of jail. Grove has scored. Paddington Hill corner. Big Eric Grove has gone into the Paddington Hill corner. Brett Kenny's long pass, was it not? My goodness, can you believe that the Premiers would go so far looking like they were beaten, and then all of a sudden Kenny dummied to Cronin, and Rogers knew what they were up to, and Growth goes in to score in the Paddo Hill corner, the corner that lost Parramatta a grand final one year, and I don't have to remind Neville Glover of the incident I'm talking about.
Brett Kenny's the man that can turn the game in a twinkling of an eye, and here he's done it. He stood in a tackle. I thought maybe Steve Rogers should have come over the top to finish off the progress of the ball. Kenny got a long ball away to Eric Growth, and once he gets his sights on the sideline, that's on the try line, that's the end of it, and in goes Growth with Rogers clinging to him, planting the ball down for a tremendous Parramatta try.
So there's the try. The momentum of the tackle, the momentum of the plunge, taking Growth across the line. Cronin's kick, no goal, no goal. The time continues to tick away, and Steve Sharp has the ball for Parramatta.
See, that was virtually a useless kickoff. Now, Parramatta have got the ball approaching halfway, and they would have had it down near their own try line.
Price is to the halfway. You don't have to worry about them passing. I don't think they'll be passing. Sharp's the dummy half. And he did pass. You would make me eat my words, wouldn't you? Sterling will get up and play it slowly. Mears has it. Now they'll be looking for the fifth tackle. It's 42 seconds to go. Mears holding his head. They're going through the motions of something we've become accustomed to. This is Mansfield, and 5 tackles are now gone for the Eels. Will they run it or will they bomb it? Sharp, grubber kicks. Did Gearon's hand touch it? I don't think it did. Neither does the touch judge, Ian McCall. There's only 13 seconds of this final to go. And can you imagine the relief in that man's body at the moment, John Mooney? The clock counting down. The Dragons win the scrum. Rogers kicks on the first. Lydiard's back with Taylor. Oh, they nearly knocked each other over, but Taylor's got the ball, and he's tackled by Brian Johnston. The siren sounds, and Parramatta have literally got out of jail. It was gone. It was shot to pieces. The Dragons were into the grand final, and then almost from a professional foul, the Eels were given a penalty, and then on the second tackle it was spun to Kenny. The heat was on Cronin, but that was the opportunity that Kenny was wanting, to be able to stand in a tackle, dummy to Cronin, and then throw the longest pass of the match probably to find Eric Growth. And Growth plunged into the Paddington Hill corner to win the match for Parramatta with 3 minutes to go by 8-7.